Somewhere right now, someone is losing their job to software that learned their skill in 3 weeks. Not a robot, not some distant sci-fi threat, software running on a server, quietly doing what took that person years to master. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud: it's not stopping there. The skill you spent the last 5 years building. There's a model being trained on it right now. And when it's ready, it won't need lunch breaks. It won't need a salary. It won't need you. But before you spiral, here's what matters. The people who will thrive through all of this aren't the ones with the most skills. They're the ones with something AI fundamentally cannot replicate. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that is and how to build it starting today. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Skills expire. Thinking compounds. Let me ask you something. Have you ever mastered something, really put in the hours, only to watch it become irrelevant faster than you expected? Maybe it was a software tool that got replaced, a process that got automated, a specialty that suddenly every beginner could do with one prompt. If that's happened to you, you're not behind, you're just playing the wrong game. The whole world has been sold on the same idea: learn more skills, stay employable, get certified, add tools to your resume, keep up. But here is what that advice misses. Skills are the output of intelligence. They're what intelligence produces. If all you're doing is collecting outputs, you're building on sand. Because every skill has an expiration date now, and that date is getting shorter every single year. The average shelf life of a professional skill was estimated at 30 years in 1987. By 2024, researchers at the World Economic Forum put that number at under 5 years. 5 years, that's how long before what you just learned starts becoming obsolete. So, if skills expire, what lasts? Subscribe now. The answer to that question is what the most future-proof minds already know. Let's go back further than AI, further than the internet, further than the Industrial Revolution. Leonardo da Vinci never specialized. He was a painter, yes, but also an engineer, anatomist, geologist, botanist, musician, and military strategist. He didn't just learn skills, he built a system for understanding the world. When one field evolved, his thinking transferred. His mental frameworks moved fluidly across disciplines. Charles Darwin wasn't the most skilled naturalist of his era. There were people with more field experience, more specimens, more technical knowledge, but Darwin had something they didn't. He saw patterns across disciplines, including geology, economics, animal behavior, and synthesized them into a single unifying theory. Richard Feynman, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, was famous for one specific habit. Before he considered himself to understand anything, he would ask, "Can I explain this simply enough that a child could understand it?" If he couldn't, he went back to studying. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because he understood that real comprehension means you can transfer knowledge, apply it somewhere it's never been applied before. That's the thread connecting all of them, not their skills, their thinking. Here's what's happening in your brain when you truly understand something versus when you've just memorized it. Memorization activates your hippocampus, your brain's short-term filing system. It stores information as an isolated fact. Useful but fragile, easily forgotten, easily replaced. But when you understand something deeply, when you can connect it to other ideas, apply it in new contexts, see the pattern underneath the surface, your prefrontal cortex comes online. You're not just storing a fact, you're building a mental model. Mental models are cognitive frameworks, compressed representations of how something works. And once you build one, it doesn't just help you understand that thing. It helps you understand everything like that thing. This is called transfer learning, not the AI version, the human version. Your brain's ability to take a lesson from one domain and apply it somewhere completely different. AI is exceptionally good at pattern matching within a defined domain. Feed it enough data, and it will outperform humans at specific tasks almost every time. But it cannot transfer. It cannot take a principle from evolutionary biology and apply it to a business problem it's never seen. It cannot fill the gap between what it knows and what it doesn't, then build a bridge. That gap, that's where human intelligence lives. Most people will scroll past this and learn another skill they'll forget in a year. If you're still here, you already think differently. Subscribe and stay that way. So, how do you actually build adaptive intelligence? Not as a concept, as a daily practice. Here's the framework: 3 habits. Each one targets a different layer of your cognitive system. The first habit: learn in first principles. First principles thinking means stripping an idea down to its foundational truths, the things that are actually true, not just assumed to be true. Elon Musk famously used this when building SpaceX. Instead of accepting that rockets were expensive because they'd always been expensive, he asked, "What are rockets actually made of? What do the raw materials cost?" The answer was roughly 2% of the market price. The rest was assumption, tradition, and middlemen. First principles thinking obliterates assumptions. And assumptions are exactly what makes skills brittle because most skills are built on top of them. When you learn something new, don't ask, "How do I do this?" Ask, "Why does this work?" Go one level deeper, then one more. Every time you reach the underlying principle, you've just built something transferable. Every time you stop at the surface, you've just learned something replaceable. 60 seconds ago, you were thinking about skills. Now you're thinking about thinking. That shift is exactly what this habit builds. The second habit: practice deliberate confusion. This one sounds counterintuitive. Bear with me, most people avoid confusion. When something doesn't make sense, they skip it, simplify it, or look for a quicker explanation. But neuroscientist Robert Bjork's research on desirable difficulties shows that confusion, that genuine cognitive struggle, is one of the most powerful triggers for deep learning. When your brain encounters something it can't immediately categorize, it doesn't give up. It searches, it reaches into existing knowledge networks, trying to find connections. It builds new pathways in the process. That struggle is the learning. The habit is simple. When you encounter something confusing, resist the urge to immediately look it up. Sit with it for 5 minutes first. Try to reason through it. Make predictions, form hypotheses. You'll be wrong sometimes. That's fine. What you're training is your brain's capacity to operate at the edge of its knowledge, which is exactly where adaptive intelligence lives. AI cannot do this. AI does not wonder. It does not sit with uncertainty and build something from it. You can. The third habit: cross-pollinate deliberately. Every week, study something completely outside your field. Not casually, deliberately, with a specific question: where does this pattern appear in my own domain? A software engineer who studies jazz improvisation starts seeing code architecture differently. A teacher who studies military strategy starts understanding classroom dynamics in a new way. This is how breakthrough thinking actually happens. Not from going deeper into one domain, but from importing frameworks across domains. Charles Darwin didn't discover evolution by just studying animals. He read Thomas Malthus, an economist writing about human population pressures, and suddenly saw competition and selection playing out in nature. The breakthrough came from the collision of 2 unrelated fields. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. The more patterns you feed it from different domains, the more connections it can make. The more connections it makes, the more original your thinking becomes. And original thinking is the one thing that doesn't have a training dataset yet. Here's what I want you to sit with. The world is not divided into skilled people and unskilled people anymore. That division is closing fast. The world is divided into people who can think adaptively and people who can't. One group will spend their careers chasing skills that keep expiring, wondering why the ground keeps moving beneath them. The other group will compound. Every new tool they pick up faster. Every disruption they face, they navigate better. Because they're not learning content, they're upgrading the system that learns. That's what intelligence is, not a fixed trait. Not something you're born with, it's a practice. And like every practice, it rewards consistency over intensity. Small habits, applied daily, compound into something that no algorithm can replicate. So here's your move. This week, pick one thing you're learning and take it to first principles. Ask why until you hit bedrock. Find something that genuinely confuses you and sit with it for 5 minutes before reaching for an answer. Read one article, one chapter, one video completely outside your field and find the pattern hiding inside it. That's it. 3 small moves. Comment below which one you're starting with. Let's see who's actually building adaptive intelligence and who's just watching videos about it. Share this with someone who's worried about AI. Not to scare them, to give them the only answer that actually holds up. Skills can be replaced, thinkers can't. Build the thing that compounds. I'll see you in the next one.